Hey, Redheads and everyone else listening. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Adrienne, and we're pumped about today because we're talking about natural redheads and even by choice redheads, but specifically natural redheads who have loved their red hair their whole lives, or perhaps they're just getting older. Or, you know, Stephanie, I feel like
the color changes.
The color just changes. And redheads, we call it browning out. Or
turning brassy.
Or some people turn blonder.
Yeah, from the sun, especially in the summertime. But in the winter, I found that your hair gets more brown and brassy, especially underneath my hair. I've noticed maybe because the sun, you know, is coming directly at the top of your hair, but never really sees the back of your hair. So I've noticed that definitely gets more brown and brassy for me. And that's why people have sometimes, and this happened a few times recently, they'll look at me and say, well, you aren't a redhead.
I know that you hate that, and I know our audience always talks about that. They write us all the time, and they say they send pictures of themselves now, and then pictures of themselves when they were children,
right? And
they say, am I still a redhead? And what we always say is, once a redhead, always a redhead.
And then a lot of more mature redheads that are in their 40s to 60s, we always hear from them about the same thing, that their hair just has changed. And, you know, it's not for everyone. Some redheads, for instance, their hair color doesn't change, and they maybe need a hair gloss now and then. I personally love using a color depositing shampoo. So what my regimen is, and obviously, Adrienne, I know it's completely different than yours because you've never touched your hair. But right now, for instance, I use a color depositing shampoo in my, when I wash my hair, every other shampoo. And I put it in my hair. I leave it in for like 2 to 3 minutes. So I shave my legs and do all of that while it's in my hair. And then I use a hair mask sometimes after that, or sometimes the next hair cycle, I will not use a color depositing shampoo, but then I'll use a hair mask, put that in my hair, and it's a copper color. So no matter what, it's every wash, I am doing something to up my red in between the salons. So I want to say every 3 months, I go into the salon and get a hair gloss just to up my red. And it lasts a little bit longer, especially, you know, if you're listening and you're experiencing fading hair, browning out. My advice, yes, invest in an at-home gloss or color depositing shampoo. We've included several throughout the last several years in the H2 Bar box. But if you have a special event like you're getting married, or, you know, whatever the case may be, maybe you have something that you just want to treat yourself, go to your stylist and ask him or her what their tips would be. And I know that I did that with my hairstylist when I moved a few years ago, and she was awesome. And again, I go every 3 months, and then in between that, like a month into getting a hair gloss, I do notice that it starts to fade, because the great thing is with getting a hair gloss is it naturally fades every time you wash it. So there's no roots. You don't see anything that makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to see roots, or someone's going to know that I color my hair. It's completely natural. There's no dyes in it. And it's just a better way, I think, less maintenance because you're not worrying about the roots. But I do notice that after about a month, it has faded a little bit. So then that's when I kick in the color depositing shampoos, the at-home gloss, which that I leave in my hair for like 30 minutes, and then I wash my hair. So I think I've upped my red. Like, I think my red hair looks a lot redder than it usually does.
Yeah, and I think talking about hairstylists and seeing a hairstylist, Stephanie and I, when we were talking about doing this episode, we said we need to have someone on who is experienced with natural red hair and is a stylist, colorist, someone who is a professional. So today we actually have on Nikki Ferrara, and she does Ellie Kemper from the amazing show
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
I know.
And she was in The Office.
She was in The Office, but the last season is coming out on the 25th of this month. So it was really cool to be able to connect with her and now get her on the podcast, because we know that she knows Ellie, you know, she's a natural redhead. And so she's had to now up her red for the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And I know that.
Well, because she went brown in The Office.
I know. Well, did you see, I was actually reading this really funny episode, and one of her co-stars from The Office, when they were filming The Office, she was put into a trailer and they just started dyeing her hair brown.
Without even telling her?
Well, she was just happy she was just happy to be on the show.
Oh my god.
So they were like, we think that you'd be better with brown hair. And so she leaves and her co-star is like, wait, you just dyed your hair? And she's like, yeah, I mean, they told me to. And they were like, well, you shouldn't have done it if you didn't want to do it. But she's like, that's just my personality, that she wanted to. She's
so funny. Now, do you think that they went that they went brown on her because there was already a redhead on the show?
Yes.
And we did an interview with her, Kate Flannery.
Yeah.
So maybe because she's a redhead, they didn't want two redheads.
Probably.
Maybe that's why.
Probably.
But I think it would have been cool if she kept her hair red. But I know there was an article recently, or I don't know how recent it was, but Time magazine.
It was recent. I think it was the end of 2018. So
was
it was just
it?
a couple months ago.
Okay. Yeah, it was in October. I just pulled it up. And I think this is so great. They asked her, you write that people treated you differently when you dyed your hair brown for The Office. How so? And she responded, it was an interesting social experiment. First of all, I didn't realize how much I used my red hair and girlish laughter to attempt to charm people and get free desserts. When I was a brunette, I felt like people took me more seriously. I don't know if it's the characters I play or the fact that I'm a redhead, but people laugh at me before I say anything. This just happened at FedEx the other day. Now, do you feel like that? I don't feel like people think I'm silly because of my red hair, but it also could be her personality. She's very humorous. Like when she's on Ellen, too. She's so funny.
Yeah. She's very quirky. I think it might just be her personality. I don't think people have ever taken me. Like, I don't think that they think that I'm like a Lucille Ball when they see me.
Well, you're like you mean business.
I do. I mean business. Most of the time, I'm just like trying to get from point A to point B and get something done. But I think that's really funny. I think definitely red hair, there is a stigma and there are stereotypes, and people just do the stereotypes right away, even if they don't know you. So I think that is true. I think especially because she was born a redhead and then all of a sudden she was brown. I'm sure it's shocking. Like, I'm sure if I had to leave where we are right now in this podcast studio and have brown hair,
would you dye your hair for a big gig?
No,
let's say you were
I wouldn't.
Let's say you were an inspiring actress for like 10 years trying to make it in New York City, and you land a gig that was going to be on NBC or CBS or ABC, whatever.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't dye it?
No, I wouldn't. That's how passionate I am about my red hair.
I guess I would never. Either.
I think you would.
I would wear a wig.
Yeah, me too. I would wear a wig for sure, but I would never touch my hair.
Kind of like when Jessica Chastain said that she only wears wigs.
Yeah. And I know Julianne Moore, she does dye her hair for roles.
And I think she had to for Still Alice, or was it The Hunger Games? I think she dyed her hair white.
I've seen some movies of hers, I'm blanking on the names, where she dyed her hair blonde.
Yeah.
So I think that she will.
Well, we're excited to talk to Nikki, and she just moved. So she's a hair colorist in New York City. So if you're looking for a hair colorist in Manhattan, ladies, but she now works at Sally Hershberger on 26th Street in the city. And we're just really excited to have her on because, one, she's a colorist and she knows all about redheads and how to, she's an expert with redheads and her redhead clientele. If you check her out on Instagram, her handle's Nikki Colors NYC, and that's NIKKI. You can see all of her fabulous clients that she's worked on and Ellie's hair in a lot of things. Like, she even did her hair. Ellie came out with that book, My Squirrel Days. And when I saw the book recently in the bookstore, I noticed Ellie's hair. And I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful and vibrant. I want my color to look like that. And then when we started following Nikki, I noticed that she posted the photo of the cover of the book and said, you know, hair color by me, and all of these awesome hashtags like Redheads Rule and hashtag Ellie Kemper. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she did her hair. So we're excited to have her up. So let's call her up.
Let's call her.
The H2 Bar Box, a monthly beauty subscription box for redheads. Each box is worth $80 plus, and each product is redhead friendly approved.
Head to h2barbox.com to subscribe and use code podcast to receive 20% off.
Hi, this is Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. It's Adrian and Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. So nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. No, we're so excited. We love all your work. So we're just so happy to ask you questions for our audience.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, I am ready.
Okay. So first of all, we want to know how you got started in hair and how you became so good at it.
Well, let's see. Well, I did start playing around with my own hair at the very young age at 12. And this is with like really small little glosses and things like that. And I always used to beg my mom when we would be in the pharmacy to get me semi-permanent hair color. And it would always be like fire engine red because I was a brunette. And always, that's all I wanted to be was a redhead.
Aww.
And that's it. That's like everything I want. I was about 8 years old when The Little Mermaid came out, and I was like obsessed with Ariel and her long red hair. That was just, you know, she was like my idol. So everything I would see would be red hair. So finally at 12 years old, my mom gave in and she bought me this semi-permanent box dye, and the brand was called Glints. And it was the reddest hair color you probably would ever see. And she knew it wouldn't show up on my brown hair, but she bought it for me regardless. And she and it was like probably the hottest summer of like 1992. And it was supposed to, I think, last like 12 shampoos. And I don't think I washed my hair for a week.
Because you wanted it to stay.
You wanted to keep it.
I just wanted that hair color to last. So I was like, I want this to last. I want to have red hair forever. So I'm going to just go as far as not wash my hair. So after that, I would just experiment and play with my own hair. And I would walk myself to the pharmacy and I would save whatever money I could. And I would buy at home box dyes and I would experiment with hair color and, do my friend's hair color after school, and my mom would come home to color stained countertops in her bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
And I was about 14, 15, 16. Like this was something that I would always do.
Right.
Until finally I got a job and I was like pretty much living and having my hair done in every hair salon upstairs, downstairs of the mall, and just cutting and playing with lengths and everything like that. So finally I asked my mom when I was about 18 if I could go to beauty school. And instead of doing hair color, the one thing as I was coming up was I wanted, the turning point was going into Barnes and Nobles and picking up a makeup book. It was a coffee table book by Kevin O'Quan called Making Faces, and I wanted to be a makeup artist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I've always loved makeup artists, and I find them to be so talented. I always told Stephanie I would be one if I could. Yeah. It's awesome.
yeah, and it was he was really one of the first, and he had the ability to transform people's faces, and like he made Isabella Rossellini look like Barbara Streisand from that movie from A Star Is Born.
Right.
And
such a good movie.
Such a great movie.
Right.
And he photographed and had all the beautiful the most beautiful supermodels, Shalom Harlow and Naomi Campbell, all the big girls, Amber Valletta, all the big girls from the 90s, like, loved him, and he photographed all of them in this book, and I just wanted to do that. So my mom actually made me go to school and learn everything. She's like, I'm not paying for you to go to beauty school. You're going to learn everything.
Wow.
Instead of just going for makeup.
Okay.
So she said, you're going to learn hair. You're going to learn how to cut hair, color it, perm it, whatever. You're going to learn the ins and outs of the beauty industry, and that's it. So I was pretty sure I was going to be a makeup artist, and I went through 6 months of training. And then within the last 2 months, we were supposed to, take actual models, like actual clients. And my first model was a hair color. Oh. And the second I picked up that tint brush, I was like, nope, changed. This is it.
Wow.
And this is what I want to do. It was.
Yeah.
I was like, this makes more sense. Like the application, the trying to figure out the different formulas and mixing and matching the hair colors. Like this was what it was supposed to, this is what it was supposed to be for me. And I kind of ignored that from the time I was like 12 to the time I was, 19, that this was exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
That's
because to be honest, I was terrible at doing makeup. I just couldn't get myself in the right angle. I couldn't like lean on people's faces right. It was bad.
So yeah, we do want to ask about Ellie Kemper's hair because we're huge fans of hers, and
sure.
She is a natural redhead. So
she is.
So has it browned out, or I know it's hard to tell in celebrities' hair like what it really is because it's enhanced.
If you ever watch the end of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt,
yeah,
or it's either the end credits or the beginning. I'm not really sure. There's a picture of a little girl with bright red hair. That's Ellie.
That's her.
Yes, okay. I did know
that's
that.
her as a kid.
Yeah,
and she had told me, she's like, no, I've had naturally red hair since I was a little girl, and she is like her hair has gotten browner as she's gotten older. So we've brought her back to what her hair should be like, would have been since she was a child.
Wow. So I know a lot of people, when they go through this process of browning out or, their hair color starts to change, I've heard a lot of hairstylists give it the advice to people, and maybe people who are listening who want to do this, that they actually bring into their hairstylist pictures of when they were kids and try to match that. Is that what you did?
Absolutely. I didn't have specific pictures of her as a child, but I just kind of matched up her skin tone, and she has a tiny bit of freckle, and just and her hairline around her face is a little redder than the rest of her hair. So I kind of went off of that.
Okay.
And do you achieve it with, so it's a dye, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is that, how's the maintenance on that? Like if a listener is like, okay, I need to get a dye, is that in every 8 to 12 weeks in the salon?
Yeah. Like what's the process?
It depends. It depends on how far from your natural hair color you're going.
Okay.
You have to, if you're going to be a really bright copper-haired woman, and you have, say, a mousy or drabbed out brunette hair color, you're going to be maybe in the salon every 4 to 6 weeks. Whereas
Wow.
Okay.
if your hair does have somewhat of a natural warmth to the hair, and the level of the hair color is pretty on par, you're gonna have you can maybe stretch it a tiny bit longer, like a good 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, that's,
You know?
yeah. So it really all depends.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it really
everyone's
also,
hair
and
is
it also,
different.
I try not to have my single processes to go further than 8 weeks, because then you have to drag it out a little bit. You have to drag the color down a little further, and the heat from the scalp doesn't reach far down the hair shaft, so you can get banding.
Oh, gotcha. So
Yeah.
what?
So the color doesn't deposit the same that it does. Like if you go an inch further from the scalp as opposed to 2 inches away. So
Okay.
it'll look darker an inch, 2 inches further from the scalp than it does an inch away from the scalp.
Oh, I didn't know
wow.
that.
That's really interesting.
So
So
what?
you'll see a band of color.
Oh, okay. So obviously you're in the hair industry in New York City. Are there any hair trends that you think is or going to make a mark in 2019? Whether it's, we read an article recently in Refinery 29, and they said obviously red hair was like making a big trend this year. And also, I guess when it comes to your clientele, are you seeing a lot more people wanting to go red maybe?
Yeah, I have a redhead transformation actually tomorrow morning.
Oh,
That's coming in, and I think it's going to be fun with different variations of red. I tend to want to within stick within the confines of what will look great on the person's skin tone, as opposed to the desire for what
Okay.
the person wants, because the tone of the hair on one person may be beautiful, but it may not be right for your skin tone.
Right. Okay. So for your client tomorrow morning that's turning to have red hair, do you
Yes.
typically what's some of the maintenance at home? Do you tell them to use a color depositing shampoo, or maybe not because of the dye? Like, what are some tips?
I love if you can have at home maintenance. I would love the at home color depositing shampoos, as long as it doesn't have the metallic salts in it, which most of them do not.
Okay.
Because a lot of color depositing shampoos do have low detergent rate, because it's for a low detergent level, which is great for color treated hair. So it's not going to strip the hair dye out of the hair.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That's important. Yeah. Especially if you get your hair done at a salon.
Do you have a favorite brand?
My favorite that I've had, which looks the most natural, is I love the Davines Alchemic
Me too.
shampoo.
That's
and
what I use.
conditioner. The shampoo has a very nice lather to it.
It does.
And the conditioner is just very moisturizing. You can leave it on like a treatment. It'll leave a little bit of a deposit on it, but it also makes it look so natural.
Yeah.
A lot of problem with red hair depositing shampoos and conditioner is that it does err on the side of looking a little bit more artificial looking, where it deposits tones that wouldn't naturally happen in nature. You don't want to see pinks, or you don't want to see tons and tons of yellows. You want to see more browns. You want to see more golds, because that's what you're actually looking at when you look at a natural redhead.
Okay. Yeah. And we always tell our audience to, stay away from color depositing shampoos if you have highlights, because those blonde highlights will turn pink.
Absolutely. But you're not going to get that with, say, the copper alchemic shampoo and conditioner from Davines.
Yeah, their stuff's amazing. I've been using their stuff for a couple years now. Adrienne has never touched her hair, but mine browns out, and I love their copper. That mask, you're so right. I sometimes use it just as a conditioner, or I'll put it in my hair and leave it on for like a half an hour as a mask. And
Same.
I notice that my hair is vibrant after it.
Yeah, but let's talk about.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say.
I use the copper. I use the gold for myself. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Adrian, but I was speaking of what Stephanie said. I've never dyed my hair and never touched it in my life. But what
Lucky.
advice do you have for people like me who are actually I'm getting a lot of white streaks, a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot. And it's so hard for me. And I'm sure you have redhead clients who come in, and it's such a complex because you don't want to ever dye your hair because you're like, well, I'm a natural redhead. And then, and then you feel like, okay, maybe the day's approaching. So what do you do?
You can use a very low. You can use a low maintenance rinse. Like say,
Okay.
come in for a gloss and put it under heat, and it'd be like almost like a clear with a little bit of gold in it.
And that will cover the white?
That'd cover the white. And what it would do is it would coat the white hair strand, and it would almost make it read as if it were a highlight.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Instead of like actually dyeing it like red.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, even I don't tend to, I would put maybe a tiny bit of copper in, but I would like it to be, I would put, especially if you didn't want to add more pigment to your naturally colored red hair, I would go something with a little bit more gold and a little bit more transparency so that instead of seeing it just be and putting it under heat, rather than, and with no ammonia, no peroxide, and this way it just kind of smooths out that gray hair and it makes it appear a little bit more gold as opposed to just a stark white.
I think that's a great idea.
I think that's really great.
I started noticing a few on you, Adrian.
Did you? They're coming in areas like on the sides where my ears are and a little bit on the top. It happens. Yeah.
I have a couple of girls that it does that. I mean, it's a very low maintenance way to keep your grays in check, and plus it's not really like putting any color in, because within 6 to 12 weeks that color just fades out, just rinses.
Yeah.
It's just more like a cellophane, or you can go into a hair colorist and ask them for a cellophane, like Sebastian, which is made by Wella, is a great product. It adds such a high shine.
Oh, you should try that.
And
Adrian.
you can use it in you can get it in like honeycomb, and you can blend a couple of the tones together. Honeycomb, I think they may even have a sunflower. You can put like a dot of their copper tone into it, and it's more like that orangey gold as opposed to that pink or that artificial look.
And is that a
flavor to it?
Is that a product that you can get, our listeners can buy, or is that something that only hairstylists? Okay.
I'm afraid it's something that would only be for professional use, so you would have to have it done
that
as
makes
a service.
Sense. Right. And I think
it has to go underneath heat for 20 minutes.
Okay.
In order for you to see the high shine.
Oh.
And then this way your gray hair is used as this way your gray hair is smoothed out, it's beautiful, and it fades out within a couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
And it doesn't lift or mess with your natural base. It's just a cellophane that coats each individual hair shaft.
Because I feel like, Adrian, if you're starting to see them more and you end up wanting to cover them, I think you should go to a salon instead of, you've never done it. You're so, you wouldn't know what to do at all.
Yeah, I would be scared, and like I'm nervous to I've never sat in a chair except to get my hair cut, so it's going to be like shocking, I think, for me to do it. So I do want to ask you questions about products. I know you mentioned a few already, but do you have any ultimate hair products, maybe specifically for redheads, but that you feel like if Stephanie and I or redhead clients to sit down in your chair, what are some products they need to have to either upkeep the red or just keep the hair healthy?
Well, it depends. Do you guys have wavy hair? Do you
Yes.
have dry hair?
Frizzy.
Frizzy.
Yeah, like most redheads have like
Fairly coarse hair.
yeah, coarse. Coarse is a good word.
Okay. I love a bunch of different products, but right now I love the Color Lust shampoo by Shu Uemura is really great, and that's because it keeps everything super shiny and it kind of weighs things down a tiny bit, which is
That
great
sounds
for frizzy
nice.
hair.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that sounds really good for the summertime.
It doesn't have any color depositing abilities, but it's really good. It's trying to think of another shampoo I really like. I love the blueberry shampoo by Christoph Robin. It's one of
love
his-
that.
His
Yeah.
copper. Have you used that?
his copper is great.
Yeah, I
have
love
used
it.
His copper is great. It's not as vibrant as the Davines
No, it's not.
copper.
You're right.
But it's good for somebody who is a very, very light strawberry blonde, almost like an Amy Adams or an
Yeah.
Isla Fisher.
You're right.
It's beautiful. You're not getting a vibrant copper. Like if you were to ever meet me, I have a vibrant copper hair. You're not getting that.
Yeah.
with that one, but it's beautiful. It's nourishing. His products are the packaging is beautiful.
It is.
Christoph Robin himself is a lovely, lovely man.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I love when
oh my
you
God, I
hear
love
that.
him.
Oh, that's
He's
so
amazing.
good.
He's great. And but his line across the board, bar none, is probably one of the best shampoo lines I've ever used.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, we're gonna.
That's telling
Yeah.
you. That's saying
Something,
because
right.
I'm sure you've tried a
Yeah.
lot.
I love his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah, we do too.
I've tried a bunch of it. Like his rose volumizing shampoo is great. I use his sea salt scrub,
Yes.
and I tell clients that have dry itchy scalp. If you have,
I have a
like,
dry
any kind
itchy
of-
scalp. This is
yeah.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Get the sea
Redheads
salt
really
scrub.
suffer with that. Yeah.
get the sea salt scrub and get the prickly pear mask to do once a week at least.
Oh, okay.
And that will help the itchy scalp. Yeah, mine's
Uh-huh.
bad.
If you find that it's like a little bit like a psoriasis type itch,
It's not
Is it-
like that. It's more, I notice it right around every November when the season's changing and the temperature's dropping. I notice that my scalp in the back, like where my ponytail rests kind of,
Yeah.
is just like itchy.
See,
And
I
then,
get the same thing.
yeah, so I try not to really irritate it with like a brush or anything, but it's better now that I think it's just that November, December every year gets like that. So I've heard like peppermint oil helps and some other things, but it's nice to know that he has products that you can use on a weekly basis to help it.
yeah. Anytime anybody has ever said that they've had dry itchy scalp, they've had I've said to get that,
Okay.
and it helps. It helps with dandruff. It's great.
Yeah, especially in the summertime.
But the thing is that it does, since it has like actual salt, like Dead Sea salt crystals in it. It does leave the ends of your hair a little dry. So what I tell them is to pair it with the prickly pear mask,
Okay.
and that is amazing.
Oh, we're going to have to try that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing it this weekend.
Because in the summertime, I try not to anymore, but growing up, our parents never gave us hats. Or we didn't wear a lot of hats. So we would get really bad scalp sunburns, and that was really irritating. So I think, that's a question that we get asked a lot in the summer. So I'm sure a product like that would help too,
yeah,
to help with
relieve
the
it.
Absolutely.
relieve the pain of a sunburn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't actually, for that, I don't know. With salt, maybe not, but you want to know, what he has that's really good. I'm a product junkie if you can't.
No, we
can't
love
hear
it. So are we.
I
We
love
it.
products.
Yeah.
He has a really good, he does this thing called an aloe shampoo bar. Get that.
That
Yeah,
sounds
aloe.
so lovely.
So maybe use the aloe after a sunburn.
Yeah.
And then as when it's already healed and that's when you use the salt.
Love that.
Oh my God, you would die. It is so good.
Yeah.
The aloe shampoo bar. It's moisturizing. It's for all hair types. It's great.
And I feel like shampoo bars are kind of having a little comeback. I'm seeing them more.
He was like one of the first people to do it.
Was
to be
he?
honest. Yeah, this happened like a couple of years ago.
Wow, yeah, because I'm seeing it a lot more on Instagram, kind of like, sheet masks and eye mat. All those things are so popular. I'm seeing more shampoo bars.
No, do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for your time. And thank
your
you,
tips.
Thank you for your tips, but for making Ellie Kemper's hair so beautiful. I mean, we admired it, and we admire all your work on Instagram.
Yeah,
so
you're
keep
a true
posting.
artist, and you're so inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for having me on your podcast. This is so exciting for me. It's one of my first times doing this. So I'm really honored to have been a part of this.
Yeah, and we can't wait to have you on more articles on howtobearedhead.com. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. You're welcome.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you, Nikki.
You too.
Bye.
The H2 Bar Box, a monthly beauty subscription box for redheads. Each box is worth $80 plus, and each product is Redhead friendly approved.
Head to h2barbox.com to subscribe and use code podcast to receive 20% off. How sweet is she?
She's so great, and
I
she's so lovely to talk to. And I know she knows so many products. She said she's a product junkie, which after Marie Kondo, I'm trying not to be. Is it sparking joy in my life?
This January, come on, everyone has.
But
to be
I
want to
buy. But I think hair products can have an exception because they do spark joy. But all the ones that she mentioned,
yeah, they are amazing, and I think that it's so cool too to talk with her, and like it's so cool to talk with her because you see someone like Ellie Kemper and her beautiful red hair, and then all of a sudden you're talking with a hairstylist, and sometimes, especially in New York City, when you speak with artists, it's not that easy to talk with them. It's just some of the personalities, but to come across someone like her, she's so wonderful.
I agree.
She's so nice. Anyone can talk with her. And I think that that's probably why she's so successful, because people can just talk with her. And I know that redheads love to talk about hair fading. And
it's one of the hottest topics on our website, our social media.
Number one. And
earlier today, we did Insta stories on how I talked about dyeing my hair blonde for 7 years. Yeah. And you got so many people wrote in, so many followers saying, oh, my hair used to be red. I unfortunately, it's browned out. We write them right away. There are products out there and things that you can do to help if your hair is browning out. And then,
you don't need to dye it. I think that she dyes Ellie Kemper's hair, but you don't have to dye. Like the advice she gave me was not a dye.
No, which I loved.
Yeah.
It was a hair
It's comforting
gloss. Yeah, and you got your tips. You have to go into a salon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Those
honestly,
whites are coming in, folks.
I'm definitely going to be documenting it on How to Be a Redhead when I do decide to do it, because I know so many people are going to feel the same way I feel. Our grandmother was a natural redhead, and she went completely white at 27. So now that I'm 31, I feel like maybe I'm over the hump a little bit more than her, but I was expecting to go white early. So, I'm not completely white. Obviously, it's just like a few strands here and there, but I do know that my hairstylist, who just recently saw me, she told me that she gives me about 5 more years until I have to actually do that. And if I do anything, it's kind of premature, but we'll see. Maybe I just need to relax a little bit more and not work as much. And maybe the whites won't come in as much.
Yeah, so we'll have her product recommendations in the notes section. So stay tuned for that. And like always, rock it like a redhead.